Hello, and welcome back to the Inside the Dam podcast. Thank you for tuning in to this latest edition of the show. The podcast is produced by KMSU TV and Radio as part of a partnership with Minot State University Athletics. We are glad to be joined by more talented and fantastic guests reigning from all the Beaver teams on campus. The Inside the Dam podcast is proudly sponsored by Papa John's. They have 2 locations in Minot and the Air Force Base. Search for Papa John's in Minot online through your device and seek out any deals that are currently available. They can also be reached at 701-852-7272. That is 852-PAPA to place an order over the phone. We thank Admir and the Papa John's crew for their tremendous patronage. We will be right back with our next guest.
I'm addicted to your love and I get too sick, 'cause I'm a
student program, student operated and managed. We are your local alternative radio station for Minot. We're KMSU Radio.
Hello, and welcome back to the Inside the Dam podcast. Thank you for tuning in to this latest edition of the show. The podcast is produced by KMSU TV and Radio as part of a partnership with Minot State University Athletics. We are glad to be joined by more talented and fantastic guests reigning from all the Beaver teams on campus. The Inside the Dam podcast is proudly sponsored by Papa John's. They have 2 locations in Minot and the Air Force Base. Search for Papa John's in Minot online through your device and seek out any deals that are currently available. They can also be reached at 701-852-7272. That is 852-PAPA to place an order over the phone. We thank Admir and the Papa John's crew for their tremendous patronage. We will be right back with our next guest. And after a long break away from the studios, we are back for a brand new episode of the Inside the Dam podcast. And hello again, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. We're happy to have you on board for some more wonderful content here as we get to talk to some more new student athletes reigning from the Minot State Athletic Department. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Cole Clementich. Proud to have you guys here for the final episode, not only just for the semester, but the final ever production of the show in Swain Hall until the move to the brand new Hartnett Hall. It's going to be a lot of excitement in and around. But before we get started here, folks, we hope you enjoyed your Thanksgiving break. Of course, we were off the past couple Mondays. Unfortunately, a little craziness happened last Monday as we had a few, grad school deadlines. Oh, I had grad school deadlines, but we had an MSU athletics sponsored event that kind of, I don't want to say put a wrench in things, but, definitely changed the trajectory, and we were not able to have a show last week. But thank goodness we are here back live in the KMSU podcast studios, high above 11th Avenue, also known as Beaver Boulevard, episode 10 of the Inside the Dam podcast and of season 2. And before we get into our first guest here, folks, let us remind you that Papa John's is the premier sponsor for the Inside the Dam podcast. And be sure to check them out on their website. Search for any deals they may have going on. They will likely have deals going on at this time. Search Papa John's in Minot on your device, and they can also be reached at 701-852-7272, or also known as 852-PAPA. Love the acronym there. That is how you can place an order over the phone. We love Admir. We love Papa John's. They have been great supporting the Inside the Dam podcast. On the show today, guys, be sure to expect a goaltender from the women's hockey team and one of the men's wrestlers as well. Both athletes today that we have here on the show competed this past weekend with some top-notch performances. So, and without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get started here. Our guest hails from Petersfield, Manitoba, and a psychology major as a junior and goaltender for the women's hockey team. Morgan Baker joins us. Morgan, thanks for being on the show tonight.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, Morgan. So let's just kind of start it off pretty easy here. Still, well, we're fairly a ways into the hockey season, so kind of approaching the halfway mark. But, for you yourself and I guess for the team, how have things been going, for you and to be able to get up to this point and have some playing time so far? How are you feeling at this time currently?
Things have been going good. We had a bit of a tough start to the season, a super tough schedule, played a lot of top teams in the first 2 months of the season. But I think now we're getting into kind of a groove, and we've overcome a lot of challenges as a group, and we're beyond that now. We're ready for bigger things.
Yeah, certainly. And you guys have had a gauntlet of a schedule. You guys just got back to 500, playing some good hockey as of late on a 4-game winning streak, wins against Jamestown and Bottineau. Of course, just talk, you actually got to play some games recently, despite some of the circumstances, with the other goaltenders. We wish all the best to Haley Beaver and her recovery from injury. But, just kind of tell us, getting your first taste, in regular season action, how was that to be able to get the call?
Yeah, obviously it's not what anyone wants to see is one of my goalie partners go down, and I think everyone was a little bit nervous about what things would look like with just one healthy goalie at the time. and no backup on the bench in Jamestown. But I like to kind of take every opportunity as it comes and take advantage of it, and I think I did that in Jamestown. So, yep, Beavs hopefully is on the mend now and will be back soon. But, yeah, it was good either way. I'm sure coaches and players were a little bit nervous going into that weekend, but it worked out in the end, so.
I'm sure it did for sure, certainly. But, talk about the preparation factor going in there, having to come in late that one game. I forget which one it was, but, just to be able to stay ready on the bench, whenever the time calls for it, just talk about, what was kind of going through your head at that moment.
Yeah, going into that game in Midland was tough. Obviously, Midland is a team we've struggled against in the past. I prepare for every game the same, whether I'm kind of playing or not. I have the same routine. Try not to overthink it. Obviously, there was nothing that I could have done. Beavs obviously went down, and I kind of just got in the net, tried not to overthink it, and relied on the work I put in practice to kind of get me through it.
And so far to this point, you're doing phenomenal. 4-0-0. It says in here 5 games with a shutout, 93 save percentage, a 1.47 goals against average. What do you attribute that to? Is it practice, or is it just kind of going through the motions of the game? How good is that for you to be able to see numbers like that pop up, to see all the hard work paying off?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of both. Obviously, I spent the last kind of 2 years being more of a practice player in a sense. So I kind of just attribute it to relying on the work I put in practice every day and my work ethic. And when I get into games and get those opportunities, I rely on that and try not to overthink it. I think my mental game is something I've struggled with in the past. So just maintaining that confidence and relying on all the work I put in.
No, that is good, certainly. And, with the new season now upon us here, kind of reaching towards, closer to Christmas break now, Morgan, just to be able to, bounce back from some tough games earlier on in the season, what does that say about you guys as a team to be able to, even things up now heading into Jamestown in what hopes to be a final hurrah before Christmas break, kind of finish on a high note for the semester?
Yeah, I think it shows our resilience. These were really important games for us to be able to win and to end the semester on a good note going into next semester. We have a lot of tough games again next semester, a tough schedule, and then with conference and nationals, so it's important that we help ourselves out a little bit at the end of this semester so we're in a good spot for when conference comes in nationals next year.
Yeah, that is going to be a lot of fun. The home stretch always, crazy times, and things are going to get wild here pretty soon as the stretch run. It's going to be something else, like I mentioned here. Well, Morgan, stepping away from the ice here, let's talk a little bit about, you in campus life. So it says here you're a psychology major. Talk about, what are some things that you're learning right now in the classroom? And maybe, is there anything you're applying from those studies that you're taking into hockey maybe?
Yeah, I have taken a lot of psych courses at this point now that I'm a junior, and there's things I take away just for life and for hockey and for all of it. Mostly right now I'm taking personality theories, and next semester I have a pretty tough course load with psychology. So I take away bits and pieces, but I try not to read too much into a lot of stuff.
For students coming into Minot State that, might be interested. Of course, we advocate for broadcasting here on the show, but, for any students that maybe have some interest in psychology, what could they expect for class sizes or class load, and even some of the studies you mentioned, the personalities, talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I really enjoy it. I enjoy the class sizes was a big thing for me coming into Minot State. I wanted to go to a university where we weren't going to have classes of 100 and 150 people. Like I would have even back home. So the class sizes, most of my classes don't have any more than 20 kids in them, which I think is something really special and hard to find now. And our teachers, the higher you get into the major, you have the same teachers multiple times, so it's really cool to be able to develop a relationship with those teachers. And they're all super supportive of athletics and super understanding if you have to miss class or need extensions. So, and they always support athletics. Teachers you'll see them out at games and stuff, which I think is super cool.
Yeah, I can advocate for that message too, and even Matt here in the background he's shooting some highlight film for a project, and I can advocate for that message. Like I said, having pretty much the same professors, all throughout going through my undergrads. And have you actually seen any of your professors at your games?
Yeah.
If so, how was that?
It's really awesome to see. I think it just shows how tight-knit of a community we have here. And yeah, they're always supporting us, whether it be in the classroom or at the rink, like however they can. They're always kind of there for us and will make compromises where they need to be made, if so.
Crossing the border, you're close, Minot, close to, the Canadian border up north, from your hometown. Tell us about your first impressions of the city. What did you think about Minot State and the hockey rink and just the team overall?
Yeah, I was super excited to come here. I didn't actually get a campus tour before I committed here. So I was from a super small town in Manitoba. We had like a hotel, a gas station. That was pretty much it. Super small town. So coming here, this was like a city for me, like a bigger city that I've been in. So it was overwhelming at first, but the community that we have here at Minot State and the rink and my teammates, we're all kind of in the same boat, being away from home. Lots of us are also from Manitoba and small towns, so we all connected on like that level, and it was really good to have that support from coaches, teammates, teachers, just the community in general.
And Coach Miner, and I'll say it for Coach Waslinchuk too, they love the Canadian players, and that's always a key factor in the recruiting side of things. I don't think I've ever asked this question before. How much more comfortable is it that, you're playing with a lot of other fellow Canadians on the roster?
I don't really see a difference in it. I know a lot of the girls just through word of mouth from back home. I played against a lot of them. I've been in camps with lots of them. Some of them are from my city. So it's definitely cool that we get to come down here and kind of continue on that, especially Manitoba sort of hockey. So, yeah. And
especially since it is, a little bit closer, maybe not much of a long drive from Minot to home. And, that's really cool, to have a lot of students as student athletes, come from all sorts of different places and to be able to, contribute in such a huge way. And with that being said, Morgan, let's talk more about, classroom life, or not classroom life. Campus life, excuse me. What do you like to do on campus? Of course, MSU Life's a big one. Do you have any favorite events or any favorite study spots or just any places in campus that you just really enjoy going to?
I mean, I think bingo is everyone's favorite event. I'm missing out on that tonight, but it's okay. Bingo is definitely a big one. They give out a lot of free stuff all the time, which I think is really cool, through bingo and through giveaways and all of that stuff. As for spots on campus that I like that there's quiet areas like study areas and stuff in kind of every building. The library is a good spot to go. The Dome has its own kind of student athlete section for study hours, which I think is cool. So lots of different little nooks.
Awesome. Yeah, and we'll get you probably sent off here to bingo. It's still likely going on as we speak, but yeah, just in a little brief here moment, Morgan, just kind of talk really, expectations that you have for yourself and, of course, for the team. Obviously want to get back to nationals, even the national championship game, of course. But, just talk, what goals do you or the team hope to accomplish moving forward?
Yeah, I think we all always have the same overall goal. We always come into a season hoping that we're going to be in the same position we were last year or do better than we did last year. So the national championship game is obviously a goal for us this year. And just kind of maintaining what we've been doing so far, keeping the win streak going, and just building off of everything we've learned and us as a team, like our chemistry, just continuing to grow that throughout the year will really take us far, I think. So.
Say hi to Coach Miner for me on your way out. But with that being said, Morgan, anything else you'd like to mention to the fans out there? You guys have, of course, games against Jamestown, then it's off to Christmas break. Anything else you'd like to say to them?
No, thanks for having me. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Yes, Merry Christmas indeed. Yeah, Morgan got the memo before I did, ladies and gentlemen. And there you have it. You just heard junior goaltender from the women's hockey squad, Morgan Baker, also from Petersfield, Manitoba, as our first guest of two here on episode 10 of the Inside the Dam podcast on for the second season. And folks, what a good chat it was. Before we get into our second and final guest of the night, let us remind you, of course, Papa John's, They got great food. They got great pizza. They got all the goods. Hit them up on their website. Search for any and all deals that they may have going on. Search Papa John's in Minot through your device. They can also be reached via the phone lines at 701-852-7272, or that's 852-PAPA to place an order over the phone. We thank Admir and Papa John's. They're always tremendous support of the Inside the Dam podcast. We're going to take a quick break here, folks. When we come back, tune in for one of the men's wrestlers who had a big-time upset victory this past weekend against St. Cloud State. More details when we come back. You're watching the Inside the Dam podcast. Hello, and welcome back to the Inside the Dam podcast. Thank you for tuning in to this latest edition of the show. The podcast is produced by KMSU TV and Radio as part of a partnership with Minot State University Athletics. We are glad to be joined by more talented and fantastic guests reigning from all the Beaver teams on campus. The Inside the Dam podcast is proudly sponsored by Papa John's. They have 2 locations in Minot and the Air Force Base. Search for Papa John's in Minot online through your device and seek out any deals that are currently available. They can also be reached at 701-852-7272. That is 852-PAPA to place an order over the phone. We thank Admir and the Papa John's crew for their tremendous patronage. We will be right back with our next guest. And we are back coming out of the break here, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Inside the Dam podcast. This is episode 10 of the second season. Again, this is the final episode of the semester before we send it off to Christmas break, and also very likely the final show we produce here in Swain Hall, although we're somewhat going to miss it. You know, the new HeartNet studios are going to be kind of a breath of fresh air, so we are very excited for that. If you're just tuning in live on the KMSU podcast live stream, do not worry. We got you guys covered. Feel free to zoom or refresh back to our interview we had with Morgan Baker, goalie of the women's hockey team, or we'll also have an extra copy of the show posted on the MSU Beavers YouTube page as well. So do not fret, as we have you guys covered each and every time. Again, this is a partnership between the broadcasting department and the Minot State Athletic Department right here on this very campus. Before we introduce our final guest of the night, let us tell you about Papa John's Pizza. They are proud to sponsor the Inside the Dam podcast. Check them out on their website. Look up any and all deals that they have going on currently. You know they're going to have great deals, of course, and just great food, great pizza all around. Search Papa John's in Minot. They can also be reached via the phone lines at 701-852-7272. That's 852-PAPA to place an order over the phone. We thank Admir and Papa John's for their patronage and for supporting the Inside the Dam podcast each and every Monday night. We go live here in the KMSU podcast studios. And without further ado, folks, our final guest here tonight, he's a junior from Kalispell, Montana, from the men's wrestling team. Give it up for Brendan Barnes. Brendan, good to have you on board. How you doing, man?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing just fine, Brendan. Yeah, so let's get right into it here. We previewed, of course, promising you guys, the viewers watching, we previewed going into the break. Brendan had an upset win over the number 3 ranked wrestler, Anthony Herrera of St. Cloud State. Let's get into that right away, Brendan. Going into that matchup within the duel, just talk about, what were you feeling going into that and, throughout the process, and then when you finally got over the edge?
Going into a match, you're always nervous. The nerves are always there, but there's mental training you can do to make you more ready for that and put yourself in those positions before you actually get in those positions. So I was mentally prepared going in that match and going out there just saying we're going to wrestle hard, show the hard work we've been doing and see how it goes. And I found myself in a position in the end where I was down by 2 points, a takedown, something, and I was able to get a takedown, put him to his back, and ended up winning the match. And it was good. Really good feeling winning that match.
how hectic was it following? You know, you were flexing to the crowd. You're trying to get them all hyped up, and they were cheering loud for you. You know, what was that moment like to be able to embrace such, you know, a tremendous atmosphere like that?
No, that was a great moment. Winning big matches are always fun. I've always overly celebrated winning those matches. I remember my senior year of high school, semifinals, I pinned the guy in the first period and celebrated for a good 20, 30 seconds or something, and my teammate still makes fun of that. I actually posted that on my Instagram story, and he DM'd me afterwards. He's like, so was that over or under three different celebrations? I was like, oh, it might have been a little bit over, but it's good. I was happy and celebrated, and yeah.
There you go. Yeah, getting into, you know, the celebrations. Nothing wrong with that. And maybe able to mix it up here and there, and you know, just to have a good time with it. That's always a big key there. But Brendan, you know, aside from that, you know, you guys, you're just getting started in brand new season. Of course, you know, you guys, I'd say, in my opinion, I mentioned this last episode, I think you guys might have overachieved a little bit. So you guys did not do bad at all. You know, just kind of talk. As this season gets started, you know, what are you guys looking forward into with this season? And, you know, just looking ahead, being able to, you know, fulfill some of the goals, or, you know, what do you guys want to, you know, accomplish here as we're just getting started?
We got a lot of goals this season. One of them's Mary. They're coming up this Saturday.
Big one, yep.
Tuesday, I believe. They're ranked number 5 currently in the nation, and we're like 25, so not huge favorites going in, but I like our chances. I think we got a good team this year, and we should have some more upsets coming up, and it'll be fun to watch. Exciting to see what happens.
I've actually had the pleasure of calling some of your guys' games alongside James Mintmeyer, one of the football players, but he also wrestled in high school. There's a lot of things to keep track of in the sport of wrestling, to my surprise almost. You know, just kind of talk about, you know, kind of some of the ins and outs, some of the details that maybe some of the viewers watching or the fans watching may not know about within the game of wrestling.
Yeah, there's a lot of little rules that go on. This Saturday, I had a match. It was a close match. Shouldn't have been that close, but it was close, and I actually won off a riding point, where if you're on top for more than a minute of control, you get an extra point, and I actually won that match off that. It was tied, but after the match ended, I got a bonus point, and you know, there's a lot of complex rules, and being able to keep track of the points in your head is a huge part of it. There's been matches in the past where I thought the score was different, and maybe if I knew what the score was, the match would have ended up different, would have made different decisions, but you know, you just got to keep track of a lot in your head and focus on the match, and yeah.
And yeah, like you said, there's just, you know, a ton to look out for, and even some of the things I've been observing from the weekend is, you know, even with a late lead, like, you know, the ability to have that flexibility to kind of stall out the match in the waning seconds. That's amazing. Like there's always got to keep things in your mind, and you know, that's when you're wrestling in particular. Like, had there been, you know, moments of frustration or just anything? I'm trying to figure out a way to word this, but were there any moments where, you know, kind of lost track of something because there's just so much to follow along?
Yeah. But there was a match in high school I had where I was up and I thought I was down, and I got really aggressive, and he ended up getting a takedown and ended up losing that match, and it was very frustrating, but I learned from it and keep better attention to what the score is and do better in the future, for sure.
Talk about, you know, some of the newcomers on the team, especially, you know, some that have been transfers or the young freshmen coming in. You know, how have you taken on sort of maybe a leadership role? Have you maybe helped lead some of the younger guys in the group, and, you know, just kind of talk a little bit about the team roster this year? How are they doing? How's coach doing? And you know, what have you guys learned throughout so far?
Yeah, we got a bunch of transfers. I think 33, Wayne Joint from California. He's won both his matches this season, nationally ranked. I don't know what he is, but top 15, top 20. Yeah, he's a newcomer. He's doing really good. Cassius Graham, he's at 149. He's a newcomer, transferred from Menlo. He had good matches this weekend, for sure. Yeah, and we got a bunch of freshmen, great partners. Wrestles at the Dragon Open, won a couple matches there, had a good showing. And yeah, I like the freshmen. They're all good people. Get along with the team well. Good team culture going on. That's what we like to see.
You brought it up just now. You guys actually had a really busy weekend. 2 home games against Southwest and St. Cloud State. Excuse me. And then right back in it on the road to Moorhead. Kind of a shorter drive, but still competing on the road. Talk about, more on that Dragon Open, how you did or how you fared well, how the rest of the team fared well. Did you wrestle at all this weekend, I should ask first?
I actually didn't go to the Dragon Open. I three matches in 3 days wrestling in a row is a lot on my body, but
gotcha.
We brought 13 guys to the Dragon Open, and Ryan Herka, 157, he won it. Other guys, a lot of other guys placed, did well, and not a bad showing from Minot at the Dragon Open.
Did you catch some of the live stream at all? Did they have a live stream at all?
I saw some live streams, but there wasn't much for live streams to watch it, but yeah.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, sometimes things can happen, or just a little change in circumstances. But Brendan, let's talk away from the mats and into the classroom. So it says right on the list that you're a business ed major. Talk about what you're learning right now, and talk the classroom environment currently.
So business ed, not a huge major. There's not many people in my classes. It's actually just me, one other person, the professor right now. And the professor's my advisor, a very good relationship with her. She's really cool. Get along with her really well. I'm actually in my semester before student teaching, so next semester I'll be student teaching. So I'm learning a lot about the process of what I have to do next semester right now, and just finishing up with that. And yeah, it's exciting, a little scary, a little daunting to be student teaching next semester, but I'm excited for it.
With that student teaching, where do you hope to take that maybe down the line, maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now?
So I hope to be a business teacher at a high school somewhere, and be a head wrestling coach and have a successful program at a high school somewhere.
That's actually really cool idea. A lot of, even some students that I have grad school with, some just got hired on to be like track coaches or strength coaches even. And, that doesn't seem too outlandish. That's like very good opportunity. There's always going to be, positions opening, and, that I feel like that would suit you really well, certainly. And, even at Minot High, a lot of the coaches are also teachers, and they focus on, different subjects of their strengths, and it's pretty common, to be around, positions like that. And we wish for the best for you in all of that. And moving on here, talking campus events or campus life, we just talked to Morgan. She loves the MSU Life Bingo. There's actually an event going on with that right now. What do you like to do on campus? Tell us more of maybe some favorite study spots or things that you enjoy in and around, Minot State Roots.
There's a lot of fun things to do. The Rock Wall, the Wellness Center, that's a fun one. I like going there. Wellness Center, the staff's always super nice. Always talk to them for a little bit. Study spot, I usually just go to the library, and they got those little rooms. You can lock yourself in there and not get distracted by anything. Yeah, bingo's a fun one. They had Slammerabama.
Oh,
yeah, that was a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Opening week's always fun. They had the paint, dodgeball, whatever. Flannel Fest?
Flannel Fest, yeah.
Mario Kart, go-karts, that was a good one. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they got a lot of good events going on.
Yeah, they're always, MSU Life, shout out to them. They're always taking care of the students and, being sure that they have some form of some entertainment, just to escape, the crazy life that we have in the class and, just the overall chaos during the day. But yeah, Brendan, before we let you go here, you were twice named to the all-academic team for the NSIC. Your 4th year here on campus, 35-23 career record. You're actually 11-2 this season. For you personally, what do you hope to, for the rest of your college career, what outlook do you see playing out potentially? What do you hope to gain, not just from the mats, but also from the class? And, how do you feel to be able to finish strong here on campus?
Well, athletic goal, All-American, that's my goal. academic goal, I want to be a teacher, I want to be a successful one. Don't want to be the one that students don't like going to. I want to be the one they all love going to class and have a good relationship with my students, teach them about business world and everything they need to know. I think Minot State was a perfect place for me to accomplish those goals, and I think it's going well, and I think I'm on course to get where I want to go.
Awesome, and we're very happy to have you here at Minot State. Brandon, good luck to you and the team for the rest of the season, and of course you and your academic endeavors. And anything else you'd like to mention to the fans watching at home?
No, just stay in school.
Stay in school. I like it. Hey, simple as that. Thank you so much, Brendan. And there you have it, folks, from the men's wrestling team. That was Brendan Barnes from Kalispell, Montana, and also learning more about the business side of education. And we're actually going to take one more quick break here, folks. Before we do that, again, sorry about the voice crack there. Papa John's, they are proud to sponsor the Inside the Dam podcast. Check them out on their website. Search for any deals that they have going on. Search Papa John's in Minot on your device. Excuse me. Ooh, gotta get the hang of it here. They can also be reached at 701-852-7272, or that's 852-PAPA to place an order over the phone lines. Admir, Papa John's, thank you guys so much for constantly supporting the Inside the Dam podcast, and we should hopefully be getting, maybe an online code, and so we could be able to celebrate pizzas every night. Still trying to figure that stuff out right now, but still, we're thankful for their patronage, Admir and Papa John's. Check them out. 2 locations in Minot, one on base, one on Broadway. We're going to take a break. When we come back, folks, we're going to wrap up the show and tell you some important bits happening this week around Minot State athletics. More details after this. Hello, and welcome back to the Inside the Dam podcast. Thank you for tuning in to this latest edition of the show. The podcast is produced by KMSU TV and Radio as part of a partnership with Minot State University Athletics. We are glad to be joined by more talented and fantastic guests reigning from all the Beaver teams on campus. The Inside the Dam podcast is proudly sponsored by Papa John's. They have 2 locations in Minot and the Air Force Base. Search for Papa John's in Minot online through your device and seek out any deals that are currently available. They can also be reached at 701-852-7272. That is 852-PAPA to place an order over the phone. We thank Admir and the Papa John's crew for their tremendous patronage. We will be right back with our next guest. And there will not be a second guest, unfortunately, as we just talked to both of them. We just got done talking. If you're just tuning in now on the show, KMSU Podcast Live on YouTube, we just had Morgan Baker, goaltender from women's hockey, and one of the men's wrestlers, Brendan Barnes, both played tremendous in their respective sports this past weekend. And again, if you missed the show, you can feel free to rewind here on the live stream, or we got you guys hooked up with an extra copy that'll be placed over on, the Minot State Beavers YouTube page. So, yeah, be sure to be on the lookout for that and much more right now when we tell you all about what's going on this week. So, kicking us off now. So, these are the upcoming home games. Busy week this week and next. Minot State basketball, bunch of games here against in-state teams, especially the rivalry being reunited with University of Mary. But tomorrow, 11:30, women's basketball against Valley City. And then a follow-up match, men's will take on the same Valley City State University Vikings, 6 p.m. tip-off on Wednesday. Of course, basketball returns to the Dome for a 1:30 and 3:30 p.m. slate on December 9th against the Marauders. They come from down south, and they're going to be traveling up to Minot for a doubleheader of great basketball action. And then, the men's wrestling team from University of Mary might be right behind them, because shortly thereafter, it's this Saturday, it's UMary Day, because we got 2 basketball games and then a men's wrestling match this Saturday against all of the University of Mary Marauders. Women's basketball, men's basketball, and then at 6:30, men's wrestling has a duel. You heard it from Brendan Barnes earlier. Duel with the Marauders, 6:30, again, this Saturday. And right before that, the two basketball games at 1:30 and 3:30. And then men's hockey, midweek slate, a rare Thursday, Friday series. They host the Midland Warriors at the Mesa Arena Pepsi Rink, 7 o'clock on Thursday, 7:30 this upcoming Friday. Be sure to come out and support the defending ACHA national champions as they look to bring back another title to the Magic City, but still very early on in the regular season. And more of that as we take a look at who's competing on the road this week. Again, there's the stream starting soon text on the far left side. Disregard that. That was for the pre-show. But the teams on the road this week, women's wrestling will be on the bus for a little bit of time, December 7th at I believe this is either a tri-duel or I think there's multiple duels happening, or it's like an open meet event. I'm not quite sure. I should have done more research beforehand, but they will be at Dakota Wesleyan for some matches or some duels regardless. And then Chadron State on December 10th at noon. And just as we spoke to Morgan Baker earlier on, women's hockey back on the road to Jamestown. So their tour around North Dakota expands even further, December 8th and 9th at 5 p.m. and then a 2 p.m. matinee on Saturday. All of that and much more fun action happening. And speaking of hockey, here's the big one we'd like to push before we end the semester off on a high note. Minot State Beaver Hockey, the men's team, this is a first time ever taking on NCAA Division I teams. The Colorado College Tigers and the University of Denver Pioneers actually just won a title a couple years back. And this will be, I'm sure, a welcome challenge that, we've talked to some of the men's players. They're looking forward to it. Of course, we're all looking forward to it. It's going to be a nice welcome challenge, to be able to play some of the best, even some NHL prospects on these teams. And I believe Colorado College has a former Minot Minotauro on the roster, so we'll have to be on the lookout for that. But yes, this should be one to tune in for and check out, because feels like never seen before, or at least I assume never before seen Minot State club hockey taking on NCAA college hockey. It's going to be a fun series. So all taking place in Colorado, at Colorado College and at Denver. And if you remember a couple weeks back, I provided some Inside the Dam podcast notes, or kind of check in some inventory here. Here's just a quick reminder to you guys again. So this is for next semester. This is, of course, the final show here for the fall and, of course, early winter 2023 semester. This is the final show of the semester, and then we'll resume the series. We'll be resuming the series in January, right around there, mid to late January. We'll see, depending on what the situation is like with Hartnett, which, by the way, also the last production here inside Swain Hall, right before we get into the brand new Hartnett Studios, and it's going to be a lot of fun, and we're going to be back returning to the old, well, maybe not the old roots that have been revamped, revitalized, reimagined into something that all students and faculty are going to enjoy, the modern, renovation of Hartnett Hall. So we'll be in a completely brand new studio. Of course, like I said, we're probably going to miss this Swain Hall setup just a little bit, but, it's going to be a lot more fun once we get into Hartnett and get all set up and ready to go for the next episode, which comes after Christmas break in mid to late January. So Hartnett Hall grand reopening. Show will move to a brand new KMSU podcast studio. Like I said earlier, no Inside the Dam podcast during Christmas break. And also the COM 328, the play-by-play class, will be returning this spring. and they will contribute as part of a class assignment. You will likely not see me in the host chair for maybe a show or two. Actually, for multiple shows, very likely you will not see me. I'll just, of course, be observing, watching overhead as things roll along. But the Com 328 play-by-play students will be conducting interviews, we'll be doing tech, we'll be doing all sorts of things for class points and assignments, and that should be all fun and dandy. So, of course, like I said, I'll still be involved with the show, but you likely will not see me on camera. So that is just about it. So, yeah, all the notes that we have for this upcoming semester. Wanted to give you guys a quick shout again to be expecting this as the days roll along into January, into the new year, and we get set up for spring 2024. That's going to be all nice and dandy right there for you guys. And with that being said, that's a wrap for this final episode of the 2023 fall semester of the Inside the Dam podcast. Again, you just got done watching episode 10 of season 2. Of course, I'm your host, Cole Clementich. Before we sign off here, one last shout out to Papa John's. Be sure to check them out. Again, 701-852-7272. Hit them up on their website. They always got good deals, good pizza, great food. Thanks to Admir and Papa John's for sponsoring the Inside the Dam podcast. And to recap the show once more, we had Morgan Baker, goaltender from women's hockey, and men's wrestler Brendan Barnes with upset victory over the St. Cloud State's Anthony Herrera. Morgan Baker also doing a fantastic job stepping in for Haley Beaver in net. And that is all she wrote here, folks. Again, thank you all for tuning in on the KMSU Podcast live stream. Again, we'll have a copy later on for the MSU Beavers YouTube channel. And don't go anywhere. After this Christmas break, the series will be back to resume, and very likely, fingers crossed, right on schedule in a brand new Hartnett Hall studio. And for the final moments here in Swain Hall, on behalf of Minot State University Athletics and the Minot State Broadcasting Department KMSU, I'm Cole Clementich signing off. You guys have a good rest of your night. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. We'll see you all on the other side.